The bustling metropolis of Atlanta, Georgia, often a hub of vibrant activity, held a quiet, unsettling undercurrent as the calendar turned to October in the year 2019. The crisp autumn air, usually a harbinger of festive Halloween preparations and spirited football Sundays, now seemed to carry a faint whisper of unease as this particular narrative began to unfold. At the heart of this unfolding story was Alexis Crawford, a bright and spirited 21-year-old. She was a dedicated senior at the illustrious Clark Atlanta University, a historically black university nestled amidst the vibrant academic tapestry of the Atlanta University Center, its red brick buildings standing testament to decades of knowledge and aspiration. Her days were filled with the palpable excitement and industrious preparations typical of a final-year student, as she eagerly anticipated the grandeur of graduation ceremonies and the subsequent joyous celebrations that marked the transition from student to professional. For Alexis, however, these impending milestones were not just personal triumphs. They were deeply intertwined with her unwavering devotion to her family and her profound spiritual faith, two pillars that formed the bedrock of her existence. She hailed from a truly expansive and affectionate family, a bustling household brimming with the laughter and camaraderie of 5 brothers and 4 sisters. This large, supportive unit meant that her life was rich with familial bonds, and she cherished an especially profound connection with her beloved parents. Her friends, those who knew her best, often spoke of Alexis with admiration and genuine fondness, recalling her distinctive aura. They consistently noted an innate, quiet confidence that permeated her demeanor, a steadfast belief in her own considerable abilities. This self-assurance wasn't born of arrogance but was forged in the crucible of diligent effort. She truly toiled relentlessly for every achievement, valuing the journey as much as the destination. Beyond her academic prowess, Alexis was celebrated for her thoughtful gestures, her openly affectionate nature, and a wonderfully infectious sense of fun that brightened any room she entered. Yet beneath this vibrant exterior lay a bedrock of deeply held convictions, a passionate and unyielding sense of right and wrong, a moral compass that guided her every interaction. This strong ethical foundation was not just an inherent trait, it was meticulously nurtured and further fortified by her upbringing. Her father, Byron Jefferson, a dedicated individual serving in the demanding field of law enforcement, inadvertently instilled within her a similar dedication to justice and community well-being. Indeed, the adage that the apple does not fall far from the tree proved remarkably true for Alexis. She had chosen to pursue a demanding major in criminal justice at the university, a path that resonated deeply with her desire to contribute meaningfully to society. Her fervent aspiration was to forge a career that would actively empower her to help others, to be a catalyst for positive change in the world, to mend what was broken and strengthen what was just. Little did anyone know, as the crisp days of October 2019 began to shorten, that Alexis, with all her hopes and dreams shining brightly, was about to face a challenge far greater than any academic pursuit, a shadowy twist of fate that would test the very fabric of her convictions in ways unimaginable. Alexis, in a new chapter of her young adult life, shared an off-campus apartment with 21-year-old Jordan Jones. Their dwelling, a typical student residence, likely bore the charming clutter of academic ambition and youthful exuberance, perhaps a scattering of textbooks on a coffee table, vibrant posters adorning slightly scuffed walls, and the ever-present hum of electronic devices. These 2 young women were more than just roommates. They were, in the fond estimation of those who knew them, truly 2 peas in a pod, an inseparable pair whose bond ran deep. Alexis, in moments of heartfelt affection, openly referred to Jordan as her best friend, a testament to the profound camaraderie they shared. So close was their connection that Jordan had become an honorary member of the sprawling Crawford family, joining them for cherished holiday gatherings like the warmth of Thanksgiving dinner and the joyful celebrations of Easter. It truly seemed that, in the often random lottery of college roommate assignments, both Alexis and Jordan had struck gold, having landed on their feet with a compatibility that many only dreamed of. The day of October 30th unfolded with seemingly mundane, yet ultimately poignant, moments. At approximately 3:30 in the afternoon, a familiar chime would have signaled an incoming video call, as Alexis's mother, Tanya Jefferson, and her sister, Maya Jefferson, connected with her via FaceTime. The digital window revealed Alexis in good spirits, her infectious laughter echoing through the phone, her conversation lively and animated. They exchanged light-hearted jokes, a typical familial interaction, and Alexis, in a moment reflective of many college students balancing independence with intermittent need, casually asked Maya Jefferson if she could transfer some funds to her through the popular Cash App. Her father, Byron Jefferson, likely within earshot and ever supportive, offered his quick approval, and Maya Jefferson promptly sent the requested amount, a simple act of family generosity in the modern age. As the day waned and the autumn twilight deepened, just before 9 o'clock that same evening, Alexis received another digital communication. This time, it was a text message from her sister, Ariana Jefferson, inquiring about her plans for the upcoming hours. The air on campus was already electric, charged with an almost palpable buzz of excitement. It was homecoming weekend at Clark Atlanta University, a time-honored tradition that promised a cascade of joyous celebrations, spirited parades, and lively parties spanning several days. The campus, usually a focused hub of academia, was poised to transform into a vibrant carnival of alumni, students, and revelry, a symphony of music and laughter. Ariana Jefferson's text, a casual check-in among sisters, would mark one of the last known direct communications with Alexis, unknowingly setting the stage for a silence that would soon descend, thick and unsettling, upon the impending festivities, leaving a gaping void where her laughter and presence should have been. Despite the pulsating energy radiating across campus, it seemed Alexis wasn't quite swept up in the whirlwind of impending celebrations. Her response to Ariana Jefferson's inquiry was strikingly succinct, a simple declaration of nothing, suggesting a quiet evening rather than a foray into the buzzing homecoming atmosphere. A few moments later, at precisely 3 minutes past 9 o'clock, she shared a post on her Instagram feed, a fleeting digital footprint. Then, approximately 20 minutes after that, she responded to an Instagram direct message, another brief interaction in the vast digital ether. After this final, innocuous digital exchange, an unsettling quiet descended. As the pre-dawn sky began to lighten, casting soft, pearlescent hues across the Atlanta skyline, and morning unfurled its familiar routine, Alexis remained conspicuously silent. For a young woman who conversed with a member of her family almost every single day, often multiple times a day, this sudden and complete lack of communication was profoundly alarming. Her phone, once a constant conduit for connection, now rang hollow, going straight to voicemail, a chilling indicator of a silence far deeper than mere absence. By November 1st, the initial flicker of concern within her family had intensified into a searing, gnawing worry. Alexis was absent from her classes, a stark deviation from her meticulous academic habits. Later, she failed to appear for her scheduled shift at work, a responsibility she took with unwavering seriousness. These consecutive absences, particularly without a prior explanation or apology, were utterly antithetical to her diligent and dependable character. It was as far from her usual self as one could possibly imagine. Alexis was not one to miss commitments. She was certainly not one to do so without a justifiable reason and proper notification. The gravity of the situation was undeniable, a cold dread settling over her loved ones, solidifying the terrifying realization that something was profoundly, terribly wrong. Without hesitation, her distraught family formally reported her missing, unleashing a desperate search for the vibrant young woman who had, without warning, vanished into the urban landscape. The news quickly spread, morphing into urgent broadcasts. Missing Clark Atlanta student, Naima Abdullah, he joining us now from. The air thickened with unspoken questions, and the city, for a moment, held its breath, wondering what shadowy fate had befallen Alexis. The Atlanta University Center National Alumni Association, NA, became a focal point for the growing concern, its well-trodden paths now infused with an urgent, palpable anxiety. News reporters and community leaders gathered, their voices reflecting the collective distress. "What do we know here, Shay?" one might have pressed, seeking answers amidst the unfolding uncertainty. The grim reality was stark. Family and friends of the 21-year-old Aaliyah Jefferson were desperately appealing to the public, their pleas amplified by the media, for any assistance in locating her. Their fear for her safety was paramount, a chilling dread that settled deep in their hearts, eclipsing all other thoughts. Their sole, fervent hope was for her safe return, for the nightmare to dissolve back into the mundane comfort of reality. The first whispers of this alarming disappearance had emerged just yesterday, swiftly escalating from quiet family worry to a widespread community alert. And here is what was known so far, according to official statements, and the anguished accounts of her loved ones. The Atlanta Police Department, their typically bustling headquarters now focused on this distressing case, had officially confirmed that a missing person report had indeed been filed for the Clark Atlanta University senior. This formal documentation was a necessary, yet heartbreaking, step in the agonizing search. Alexis's brother, his voice likely strained with emotion, had provided a crucial, albeit sparse, detail. She was last seen on Wednesday, October, his words trailing off, leaving a stark void where further information was desperately needed. The city, usually a symphony of urban sounds, now seemed to hold its breath, gripped by a collective sense of unease as the search for the bright, ambitious student intensified, leaving everyone to wonder what sinister turn her life had taken in the heart of Atlanta. The 30th. The last confirmed sighting of Aaliyah Jefferson placed her within the confines of her off-campus dwelling on that fateful Wednesday. Alexis, originally hailing from the charming and historic city of Athens, Georgia, had made a temporary home in Atlanta to pursue her education, choosing to reside in an apartment separate from the bustling dormitories of Clark Atlanta University for the semester. University officials, as soon as the alarming news reached their administration, were promptly notified about her disappearance, triggering an internal alert across the hallowed halls of the academic institution. The news reverberated through the campus, a stark contrast to the usual academic buzz, leaving students and faculty with a heavy sense of apprehension. Now, as the investigation gained momentum, the Atlanta Police Department, with its vast network of resources, was fully apprised of the unfolding crisis, dedicating personnel to the search. The university, too, stood united in its awareness and concern, its administration collaborating closely with law enforcement. However, with leads proving elusive, the family, now consumed by a gnawing despair, felt compelled to cast a wider net, desperately appealing to the broader public for assistance in their agonizing quest to find their beloved Alexis. Their heartfelt plea was direct and urgent. If anyone saw her, if anyone knows anything, or witnessed anything out of the ordinary, please contact the police immediately. This was not just a request. It was a desperate cry for help, an imploration that echoed the profound fear gripping their hearts. Then, a potential breakthrough emerged from the digital shadows. Closed-circuit television, CCTV, footage, meticulously reviewed by investigators, confirmed a crucial detail. The cameras had captured Alexis leaving the Heritage Station Apartments, her off-campus residence. But where was she going, and with whom? The footage, while offering a glimpse, only deepened the enigma, leaving a chilling cliffhanger as to her destination and the circumstances surrounding her departure into the vast, indifferent city. The crucial CCTV footage indeed confirmed Alexis's departure from the Heritage Station Apartments, a residential complex where modern amenities mingled with the urban bustle, its hallways often echoing with the lives of its diverse residents. Following this, her roommate, Jordan, offered a key piece of information to the investigating officers, painting a picture of Alexis's last known movements. Jordan recounted that she had driven Alexis to a nearby liquor store, a short, unremarkable trip from their building, at approximately 11:30 on that Wednesday night. The fluorescent glow of the store, the quiet hum of the coolers, and the familiar clatter of bottles would have been the mundane backdrop to this seemingly innocent errand. Jordan further stated that she saw Alexis again about an hour later, back at their apartment, before she herself drifted off to sleep. When Jordan awoke on what was now Thursday, October 31st, Halloween, a day typically marked by costumes and celebrations, Alexis was conspicuously absent. Jordan had begun sleeping in the living room, perhaps for comfort or due to a minor disagreement, but there was no discernible trace that Alexis had even been in that space during the night. A quiet wave of unease began to ripple through Jordan. As she cautiously surveyed their shared apartment, she noticed several vital items missing: Alexis's phone, her identification, and her debit card were all gone. As Jordan prepared to leave for her classes, a mundane routine suddenly fraught with anxiety, she discovered the apartment door was locked from the outside. A fleeting, hopeful thought might have crossed her mind. Perhaps Alexis, despite her earlier declaration of nothing, had decided to embrace the festive homecoming spirit after all, leaving late to join a party or meet up with other friends. This scenario, while offering a semblance of normalcy, was quickly undermined by the stark reality of the available evidence. The only CCTV footage that captured Alexis after her departure from the apartment building was from that very liquor store, a singular, isolated moment. Furthermore, none of her extensive circle of friends, those with whom she often shared her plans and late-night adventures, reported seeing her after that night. The vibrant tapestry of her social connections, usually so strong, now yielded no answers, leaving an unnerving void. The locked door, the missing essentials, the unreached friends, and the absence of any further sightings formed a chilling tableau, hinting at a fate far more sinister than a spontaneous late-night outing, and plunging everyone into a terrifying unknown. In the preceding hour, the Atlanta Police Department had strategically released new, crucial images of the missing Clark Atlanta student to the public, disseminating them across various news outlets and social media platforms. These grainy yet vital photographs, captured by the surveillance cameras within the aforementioned liquor store, depicted Alexis just hours before her sudden and unexplained disappearance. Investigators conjectured, based on the consistency of the images, that she might have been wearing the same casual outfit, perhaps a favorite pair of jeans and a comfortable top, at the time she vanished, hoping this detail would jog someone's memory. The online community, galvanized by the urgency of the situation, swiftly propelled the hashtag Let's Find Lex into trending status across social media, transforming it into a beacon of hope and a rallying cry for collective action. Offline, an army of dedicated volunteers, fueled by compassion and a shared sense of humanity, fanned out across the city, meticulously searching for any sign of Alexis. Their efforts were particularly concentrated on a sprawling, overgrown area situated directly across the street from her apartment complex, its dense foliage and shadowed recesses now scrutinized with desperate intensity. The stark reality of the situation weighed heavily. Alexis had never once been reported missing before, a testament to her stability and rooted life. Compounding the alarm, there had been absolutely no activity on her phone or bank accounts since her disappearance, a digital silence that screamed volumes. Given every piece of information they possessed about her character, her unwavering conscientiousness, her deep sense of responsibility, and her profound devotion to her family, the initial flickers of hope were rapidly being extinguished, replaced by the chilling, pervasive dread of the worst-case scenario. Yet, ever pragmatic in their approach, the police maintained a cautious stance, stating that they couldn't definitively rule anything out. They conceded that it was still conceivably possible, however unlikely it seemed, that she had chosen to run away for some presently unknown, deeply personal reason. As the days bled into a full week, the silence surrounding Aaliyah Jefferson became deafening. No one had seen or heard from her in nearly 7 days, an eternity for her distraught family. Now Alexis Crawford's parents, their faces etched with unspeakable grief and worry, stood together, a picture of profound suffering. Beside them were her siblings, their eyes wide with disbelief and pain, and a multitude of cousins, their collective presence a testament to the vast, loving network that Alexis had, until recently, been an inseparable part of. Their united front, however, was a fragile shield against the terrifying truth that their bright, promising young woman had seemingly vanished into thin air, leaving behind only unanswered questions and a growing, unbearable suspense. What unspeakable secret did the city of Atlanta hold about Alexis's fate, and would her family ever find the answers they so desperately sought? Other family members and a vast network of friends, their faces etched with profound worry and grief, had converged, forming a solemn, yet hopeful, vigil. They stood hand in hand, a silent, powerful testament to their collective yearning, their heads bowed in fervent prayer, each whispered word a desperate plea for Alexis's safe and swift return. The atmosphere was thick with unspoken fears, yet permeated by a fragile thread of hope. In a show of institutional solidarity and profound concern, they were joined by the president of Clark Atlanta University, a figure who usually presided over academic triumphs and campus celebrations. His demeanor was somber, his voice tinged with genuine sorrow as he conveyed that the entire campus community, from professors to fellow students, cafeteria staff to groundskeepers, was utterly devastated by Crawford's inexplicable disappearance. The vibrant energy of the university had been replaced by a pervasive pall of anxiety and unease. Earlier that day, a pivotal meeting had taken place with Chief Deborah Williams, the esteemed chief of police for the Clark Atlanta Police Department. Her presence exuded both authority and empathy. She had looked the grieving family directly in the eye, offering her solemn assurance that the Clark Atlanta Police Department would exhaust every conceivable resource, deploying every available officer and investigative tool, to bring this young lady safely home to her family. Her words, though unable to fully quell their anguish, provided a measure of comfort. Immediately following this, another critical meeting concluded, this one with the senior leadership of the Atlanta Police Department. As the primary and lead investigative agency, their authority and resources were unparalleled. They, too, unequivocally assured the family that they would dedicate their full might to the search, leaving no stone unturned in their pursuit of answers. The family, despite their immense pain, expressed a profound trust and confidence in the unwavering dedication and expertise of the men and women now relentlessly searching for Miss Crawford. There was a collective, fervent belief, articulated with cautious optimism, that the Atlanta police would, with tireless effort and meticulous investigation, ultimately uncover the truth of what transpired, bringing to light the shadowy circumstances that had enveloped Alexis and, hopefully, bringing her back. Yet, as the clock continued its relentless march, and the days without Alexis stretched into an agonizing eternity, the question hung heavy in the air, a chilling whisper: what dark secret lay hidden beneath the veneer of this vibrant city, and would the truth, when it finally emerged, offer solace or only deeper despair? To her. But today I stand here, not just as a representative of the university, but as a concerned member of this community, joining with this heartbroken family to ask for several crucial things from the benevolent people of Atlanta. His voice, though resolute, carried the weight of the collective anguish. First, I would implore the people of Atlanta to extend their deepest prayers for the family, for their strength and solace in this unbearable time, and most importantly, for the safe return of Miss Crawford. He paused, letting the solemn plea hang in the air before continuing with renewed urgency. Secondly, and I emphasize this as being even more critically important, there are individuals within this community, students across the diverse institutions of the Atlanta University Center, residents in surrounding neighborhoods, and others who might possess invaluable information. These details, perhaps seemingly insignificant, could be profoundly helpful in uncovering just where Miss Crawford is. His gaze swept across the assembled faces, a silent appeal in his eyes. I would earnestly ask the people of Atlanta to come forward, without hesitation, with any piece of information, no matter how small or inconsequential it may seem, that you might possess. Your cooperation will undoubtedly help the Atlanta Police Department to perform their very best, to leave no stone unturned in their diligent efforts to find Miss Crawford and, God willing, bring her home to her anxiously waiting family. A somber hush fell over the crowd as he announced. The first person I would ask to speak now is Mr. Byron Jefferson Wright, who is Miss Crawford's father. From the periphery of the gathering, a man, his face a mask of profound exhaustion and unshakable resolve, stepped forward. He had driven up from Athens, leaving behind the familiar comforts of his home, and had made an unwavering, agonizing determination. He was not leaving this city, not 1 inch of it, until his beloved daughter, his baby, was found. He approached the microphone, his hands trembling slightly, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. He cleared his throat, but his voice was a raw, guttural whisper, filled with an ache that resonated deep within every listener. Baby. I love you, baby. Just come home. Come home, baby. Come home, I love you. His voice cracked, thick with emotion, as he reiterated, I said come home? I'm not going to leave until you get home. He squeezed his eyes shut for a moment, gathering every shred of his strength, before concluding with a fragile, yet unwavering, plea. "And I hope God's walking with you." The words hung in the air, a father's desperate cry echoing through the bustling city, painting a vivid, heart-wrenching picture of a family caught in an agonizing limbo, clinging to faith in the face of an ever-darkening mystery. Would Byron Jefferson's vigil ever end, or would the streets of Atlanta forever hold the secret of his missing daughter? "And please prevent any evil that comes your way. We're here for you. I love you, Lise. I miss you." His voice, though barely a whisper, carried the full weight of a father's aching heart, the raw pain palpable to all who stood by. As anyone could plainly observe, the emotions gripping this family ran very deep, a testament to the profound love they held for Alexis. This was a praying, believing family, one that clung to their faith with an unshakable conviction, holding on to the steadfast belief that Alexis would indeed come home, that their prayers would guide her back through the encroaching darkness. Meanwhile, the dedicated officers, their faces set with grim determination, embarked on a meticulous and exhaustive search. They tirelessly called around local hospitals and doctors' offices, the sterile environments a stark contrast to the vibrant life Alexis had once led, inquiring if anyone matching her description had checked in, perhaps under the anonymous designation of a Jane Doe. The flicker of hope, however faint, was always present in their methodical investigation. Then, a sudden, unexpected piece of information emerged, a lead that would dramatically pivot their entire search for Alexis. This new intelligence, sharp and incisive, would astonishingly lead them right back to the very place she was last definitively seen, her apartment. The familiar walls, the everyday objects, now took on a sinister new significance, imbued with the unsettling silence of her absence. When Alexis first went missing, the family's pastor and spokesperson, Reverend Mark L. Hutchin, a figure of strength and solace within their community, had made a cryptic but poignant statement. "We know she's going through a lot," he had shared, his voice filled with empathy. "She recently experienced some things that no woman should ever have to experience, and so we asked the people of Atlanta to pray for Alexis and her family." At that moment, the specific meaning of Reverend Hutchin's words was not openly alluded to, shrouded in a protective layer of privacy. However, as the agonizing days turned into weeks, the unsettling truth would gradually come to light, revealing a shocking detail that cast a terrifying new shadow over Alexis's disappearance. On October 27th, a mere 3 days before she vanished into thin air, she had actually gone to the hospital, and the untold circumstances of that hospital visit remained a chilling, unresolved piece of the puzzle, deepening the mystery surrounding her fate and leaving an ominous question mark hanging over her final days. Filed a police report, a harrowing testament to a deeply traumatic experience. In a shocking twist that brought the investigation back to her innermost circle, she stated unequivocally that she believed she had been sexually assaulted by none other than Jordan's boyfriend, 21-year-old Baron Brantley. The chilling incident, according to Alexis's account, transpired on the 27th of October. On that evening, the three of them, Alexis, Jordan, and Baron, were casually having some drinks at the girl's apartment, the clinking of glasses and light conversation masking a sinister undercurrent. Baron, in a disturbing turn of events, had reportedly initiated unwanted advances, attempting to kiss and touch Alexis, advances that she had vehemently rejected. He, in a dubious and highly suspect defense, later claimed he had mistakenly thought she was Jordan. Deeply freaked out and unnerved by his persistence, Alexis retreated into her bedroom, seeking refuge and space. However, he brazenly followed her, breaching her personal sanctuary. She then sought further escape, entering the bathroom alone and shutting the door behind her, a desperate attempt to reclaim a sense of safety and privacy. According to her police report, she recalled nothing further after that moment, a blank space in her memory suggesting she had passed out. When she eventually regained consciousness, a horrifying discovery awaited her. Her underwear had been ripped, a stark, physical manifestation of the assault, and Baron was partially dressed, his attire in disarray. Adding another layer of distress to the already grim scene, Jordan, her roommate, had reportedly been banging frantically on the bathroom door, her concern escalating with each unanswered knock. When Barron finally opened the door, Jordan described him as being disrobed, a detail that painted an immediate and deeply incriminating picture. Furthermore, the very first words he uttered to Jordan upon opening the door were a chilling, unsolicited denial. "I did not rape Alexis." This premature, defensive declaration, far from reassuring, only served to heighten suspicions. By 6 a.m. that morning, Baron Brantley had already vanished, making a swift exit in Jordan's car, a desperate flight that spoke volumes. This hasty departure occurred mere moments before the police, alerted by Alexis's courageous report, arrived at the apartment, their presence now marking the official beginning of a horrifying investigation into a crime that would soon become inextricably linked to her subsequent, inexplicable disappearance. Leaving everyone to wonder if this deeply personal trauma was the key to unlocking the terrifying mystery of her absence. Interestingly, Jordan, despite the harrowing circumstances, had indeed made a 911 call. However, the purpose of her urgent communication with emergency services was not, as one might expect, to report the egregious sexual assault allegedly perpetrated against her roommate. Instead, her call was solely to report Baron Brantley for absconding with her car. During this distress call, not a single detail, not even a fleeting mention, was made about the alleged attack on Alexis. Furthermore, Jordan, in a baffling and contradictory statement, referred to Baron as her ex-boyfriend, a categorization that directly opposed every other account of their ongoing romantic relationship at that precise moment. A snippet of that urgent call might have played out thus. "Hello, what's the address of the emergency?" A dispatcher's calm voice inquired. "Yes, I need police, fire, EMS." Jordan's voice, perhaps strained, would respond. "Yes, because my ex-boyfriend just stole my car. He took my keys and—" The dispatcher, seeking clarity, would interject. "Okay, what's your name?" "Jordan Jones," she would reply. "All right, Ms. Jones, we'll get officers out for you." Following this, Alexis, demonstrating remarkable courage and resilience in the face of such trauma, made her way to Grady Hospital to undergo a rape kit examination. The forensic evidence collected during this procedure proved to be tragically conclusive. It directly linked the assault back to Baron Brantley, revealing undeniable traces of his semen inside her. While Alexis was enduring this deeply invasive and emotionally agonizing process, Jordan, fully aware of the horrific events that had transpired and the profound violation Alexis had suffered, committed a shocking act of betrayal. She surreptitiously allowed Baron to sneak back into her room, where he remained hidden for the next several days, essentially sheltering the alleged assailant under the same roof as his victim. This act of complicity undoubtedly contributed to Alexis's profound discomfort. Alexis, deeply disturbed by his continued presence and the violation of her personal space, confided in her friends that she simply wasn't comfortable sleeping in her own room anymore. This profound sense of unease was the very reason she had relocated her sleeping arrangements, moving into the living area of the apartment, seeking a measure of safety and distance that her own bedroom could no longer provide. The apartment, once a sanctuary of friendship, had transformed into a cage of fear and betrayal, and the lingering presence of her alleged attacker set the stage for a tragic unraveling that would soon plunge everyone into an even deeper abyss of uncertainty and dread. Alexis felt a profound and unyielding sense of fear. She was no longer safe in her own home, a feeling that gnawed at her constantly. Everything now hinged precariously on the police report she had bravely filed, a document meant to bring justice, but currently only offering a fragile promise. While she had sought a measure of peace by moving her sleeping arrangements to the living area, actively keeping a deliberate distance from the bedroom and the person who had violated her trust, she remained utterly unaware of the chilling fact: Baron Brantley, her alleged attacker, was still secretly residing within the very same apartment, a terrifying presence concealed by Jordan. Upon receiving this critical new information, officers, their expressions now grim and determined, immediately returned to Alexis and Jordan's apartment to interrogate the pair. Jordan, when questioned, readily admitted that yes, she had indeed reported the incident involving Baron. However, she then added, with a chilling detachment, that as a direct consequence of the report and the unfolding events, she and Alexis were no longer on speaking terms, their once inseparable bond shattered by betrayal. As the detectives pressed further, their questions incisive and relentless, it became increasingly apparent that the story was far more intricate and sinister than initially presented. The more they probed, the darker and more convoluted the narrative became, each new revelation painting a grimmer picture. Finally, under intense pressure, and with the added influence of her father, who, ironically, also worked in law enforcement in a different state, Jordan broke. She led the detectives to a secluded, overgrown area, approximately 11 miles away from the apartment, its quiet desolation a stark contrast to the bustling city. The news broke with a devastating finality, cutting through the anxious uncertainty like a cold blade. "Welcome back," a news anchor's somber voice began, the usual upbeat tone replaced by profound gravity. "We are continuing to cover this breaking news. Just into CBS 46, we can confirm the missing Clark Atlanta student has been found deceased in DeKalb County." The words landed with the weight of 1,000 sorrows. "Our sources are telling us that her body was found at Exchange Park in Decatur, that is near I-285 and Columbia." The search for Alexis Crawford, once a beacon of desperate hope, had ended in tragedy, plunging her family and the entire community into a profound abyss of grief and unanswered questions. The park, once a place of recreation, now held the chilling secret of her final moments, leaving the city to grapple with the brutal reality of a life senselessly extinguished. The desolate stretch of drive today held a somber secret, as Alexis's body was discovered in a secluded park. The relentless pursuit for answers had culminated in the most heartbreaking of conclusions. "Our investigators are diligently working on securing arrest warrants for 2 individuals," the police announced, their voices heavy with the gravity of the situation. This agonizing case had reached one of the saddest outcomes imaginable, leaving an indelible mark of grief and shock on everyone involved, proving to be an absolutely devastating blow to the community. On November 8th, precisely 1 week after she had been reported missing, Alexis's body was tragically located in a DeKalb County park, approximately 11 miles from the apartment that was supposed to be her sanctuary. The grim details that emerged were harrowing. She had been brutally strangled to death, her vibrant life extinguished with unimaginable cruelty, and her body unceremoniously stuffed into a bin, a final indignity. Shortly after this horrifying discovery, police delivered another shocking announcement. They had formally charged 2 individuals with premeditated murder. The names echoed through the city like a death knell: Jordan Jones, her roommate and supposed best friend, and Baron Brantley, Jordan's boyfriend and Alexis's alleged assailant. The impact of this news on the Clark Atlanta University campus was nothing short of seismic. Leah Vaughn Campbell, the thoughtful student government president, articulated the profound collective trauma. "The effect on campus was huge," he stated, his voice reflecting the widespread sorrow. "Firstly, with the devastating loss of Alexis, a cherished member of our community. And then, secondly, the sickening realization that this unspeakable act was allegedly committed at the hands of 2 other students, individuals who were known and, in many circles, even well-liked." The mood across the campus had plummeted into one of profound despair and confusion. "A lot of students have been trying to take into account what happened," Campbell continued, "and just find answers to things we simply can't find answers to." The senselessness of it all hung heavy in the air. In response to the widespread grief and bewilderment, the university president, seeking to offer solace and guidance in the wake of such a brutal betrayal, released an open letter, a message that carried the weight of a shattered community grappling with the unimaginable, and a question that gnawed at every heart: how could such evil lurk so close, among those they trusted most? Expressing the school's profound sadness and extending heartfelt condolences to the family, friends, and the entire student body. The letter further assured that the campus would promptly provide a comprehensive range of grief counselors on site, strategically located throughout the university, to offer essential psychological support and compassionate guidance to everyone affected by this staggering loss. Meanwhile, Alexis's father, his voice raw with an agony that echoed through the collective consciousness, articulated a pain almost unbearable. If they wanted to take somebody's life," he choked out, his eyes brimming with tears, "they could have taken mine. They didn't have to kill my baby." His words were a poignant testament to a parent's ultimate sacrifice, willing to bear any burden to save their child. In a shocking development, Barron and Jordan, after days of silence and evasion, began to speak, slowly and chillingly, admitting to the horrific events that had led to Alexis's death. Their intertwined confessions revealed that sometime before 3 a.m. on what was now the 31st of October, a violent altercation had erupted between the two young women. Jordan and Barron recounted that a fight had broken out between the girls, one that swiftly escalated from heated words into a brutal physical struggle. When Barron, presumably roused by the escalating noise, emerged from Jordan's bedroom, he immediately plunged himself into the fray. The situation spiraled out of control with terrifying speed. Barron chillingly admitted to choking Alexis, his hands seizing her throat, while Jordan, at the very same terrifying moment, grabbed a plastic bag, ruthlessly placed it over Alexis's head, and proceeded to smother her. Barron further confessed to investigators that Alexis was struggling desperately for breath, her fading gasps accompanied by the agonizing sounds of her final moments. Compellingly corroborating their gruesome admissions, a surveillance video from the apartment's parking garage later captured a chilling scene: Jordan and Barron, their faces grim and furtive, pulling Jordan's, a silent, damning testament to their complicity, leaving the final, sickening details of their heinous act hanging in the air, awaiting the full, horrific disclosure that would complete the tragic narrative of Alexis Crawford's last moments. Car, a dark-colored sedan, up to a secluded door within the apartment complex at approximately 3 a.m. This calculated maneuver, captured by the unblinking eye of the surveillance camera, was believed by police to be the precise moment when Alexis's lifeless body was furtively loaded into the vehicle. The grim details continued to unfold. They had meticulously placed Alexis's body inside a plastic bin, a stark and chilling container, which they had procured from within the apartment itself. Following this unspeakable act, they had methodically cleaned up any traces of blood from the living room, attempting to erase the horrific evidence of their crime. Then, under the cloak of pre-dawn darkness, they transported her body to Exchange Park in Decatur, Georgia, a seemingly tranquil recreational area now forever tainted by tragedy, where they callously dumped her amongst the dense, uncaring woods. After completing their ghastly task, both Jordan and Barron returned to the apartment, their minds seemingly unburdened by the enormity of their actions, and simply went to sleep. Later that very same day, with a chilling display of callous indifference, Jordan texted another friend, casually asking her to replace the plastic bin, as if it were a minor, everyday inconvenience. The couple then, with a disturbing sense of normalcy, got ready and proceeded to attend a Halloween party, blending into the festivities as if nothing untoward had transpired. Detectives, after piecing together the intricate and horrifying puzzle, unequivocally concluded that both Jordan and Barron were not only equal participants but also willing and active partners in this heinous crime. The level of premeditation and deceit was staggering. Jordan, in a chilling demonstration of her duplicity, had deliberately turned off Alexis's phone, but then continued to text it, feigning concern and pretending to worry about her missing friend. She even went so far as to post on Instagram about Alexis's disappearance, publicly appealing for help in locating her. A segment of her post, designed to evoke sympathy, read, "This is obviously a difficult time for me and I just feel helpless. My heart is really hurting right now." However, beneath this carefully constructed facade of distress, investigators found absolutely no discernible sense of remorse, no genuine care, only the cold, hard evidence of betrayal and murder, leaving a profound sense of horror and disbelief that such a monstrous act could be committed by those closest to the victim. For anything that had happened to Alexis, their actions screamed of profound indifference. They both simply carried on with their lives, seemingly unaffected, as if nothing untoward had transpired. Despite their efforts to cleanse the apartment of any incriminating evidence, police, employing the meticulous use of luminol, a chemical agent that reveals traces of blood, uncovered unsettling truths. The forensic spray illuminated blood in at least 6 distinct locations within the living room, starkly contradicting their claims of a thorough cleanup. Yet, a troubling void in the investigation remained. The origin of this blood and the precise circumstances of its presence were not definitively known. Furthermore, the full extent of the motive behind this horrific act had not been clearly established, and the detailed ins and outs of the fight that allegedly erupted remained shrouded in ambiguity. However, given the undeniable fact that Alexis had courageously filed her sexual assault complaint on October 27, a mere 3 days before her disappearance and subsequent murder, this pre-existing conflict had to be considered a highly plausible catalyst for why a fight broke out in the first place. Yet the police, in their methodical pursuit of truth, stated that whether Alexis's complaint served as a direct and premeditated motive for her killing, or if her murder tragically occurred as an unintended consequence of a fight that rapidly escalated beyond control, remained a crucial aspect yet to be fully uncovered and understood. On November 16, a somber and emotionally charged day, Alexis's funeral was held. The service, a poignant tribute to a life tragically cut short, was not only attended by a huge turnout of grieving family, friends, and community members, but it was also streamed live, allowing countless more to witness and share in the collective sorrow. The digital audience, watching from afar, joined in the communal mourning, a testament to the profound impact Alexis had on so many lives. Soon thereafter, the legal process advanced. Jada Williams and Baron Brantley were formally indicted by a grand jury, a critical step that signified sufficient evidence existed for the charges of murder to proceed to trial. The announcement rippled through the community. People accused in the murder of a Clark, Atlanta. The finality of the indictment, coupled with the lingering questions and the deep sense of betrayal, left the university and the city grappling with the raw wounds of a tragedy that cut to the very core of trust and safety, and the long, arduous road to justice now lay ahead. University student, in a surprising turn of events, officially pleaded not guilty. Late that afternoon, in separate appearances, both Jordan and Baron entered pleas of not guilty to all 6 of the charges leveled against them. These serious charges encompassed felony murder, the grievous offense of false imprisonment, and the act of concealing the death of another, reflecting the calculated and callous nature of their alleged actions. Baron, in addition to these grave accusations, was also charged with multiple probation violations, underscoring a history of legal transgressions, and the specific offense of hindering a person from making an emergency telephone call, a detail that further highlighted the deliberate nature of their alleged cover-up. Notably, no charge for rape or sexual assault was filed, a decision by the district attorney's office that remained a point of contention and discussion among legal observers and the public. Furthermore, the district attorney's office publicly announced that it would not be seeking the death penalty for either of the accused, opting instead for a life sentence if convictions were secured. Baron Brantley was, without doubt, a familiar figure to law enforcement, possessing an extensive rap sheet marked by numerous prior arrests. His criminal history painted a disturbing picture, including charges for theft by taking, battery, a multitude of traffic offenses, fleeing or attempting to elude a police officer, family violence, and even cruelty to children in the 3rd degree. The records indicated a clear pattern of repeat offending. He had been booked into that specific jail a staggering 5 times within a mere 2-year period, a testament to his persistent brushes with the law. As for Jordan Jones, the young woman accused of brutally killing her friend, who also happened to be her roommate, a decisive, no-bond ruling was anticipated. During today's virtual hearing, a somber and digitally broadcast event, Alexis Crawford's mother and father, their faces etched with immeasurable pain and profound grief, appeared before the judge. They made an impassioned and heart-wrenching plea, imploring the judge to not issue a bond for their voices, though emanating through screens, carried the full weight of their devastating loss, a powerful and raw appeal for justice that resonated with all who witnessed their enduring sorrow. The outcome of their plea, and the future fate of Alexis's alleged killers, hung precariously in the balance, leaving the community on edge, desperate for a resolution to this deeply unsettling tragedy. Jones, a plea punctuated by the mother's raw, tearful anguish. "My daughter's killing was senseless," she sobbed, her words barely audible through her grief, yet carrying the full weight of her immense loss. Jordan had, in fact, been previously denied bond, a decision that reflected the severity of the charges against her. However, today, her attorneys, in a concerted effort, earnestly asked the judge to reconsider this initial ruling, painting a picture designed to elicit leniency. They argued that Jordan had actively cooperated with the ongoing investigation, providing assistance that supposedly aided in uncovering the truth. Furthermore, they emphasized her remarkably clean criminal record, noting she had no previous criminal history other than a single misdemeanor offense. Her legal team also meticulously highlighted her deep ties to the community, suggesting she was not a flight risk, and asserted that she possessed no history of threatening or intimidating anyone, presenting her as a seemingly responsible and nonviolent individual. However, the prosecution swiftly countered these arguments with damning evidence. Prosecutors alleged they had unearthed chilling direct messages sent from Jordan Jones's social media accounts, explicitly encouraging Brantley to destroy crucial surveillance video evidence from the apartment complex where both Jones and Crawford had resided. This damning revelation painted a starkly different picture of her supposed cooperation. They further underscored that Jordan was, in fact, on probation for a DUI conviction at the time Aaliyah Jefferson was brutally killed, demonstrating a pattern of disregard for the law. Alexis Crawford's mother and father, their hearts shattered, once again addressed the judge during Jordan's bond hearing today. "She died for no reason." The mother's voice trembled, the words resonating with profound sorrow. "No reason at all, oh my God!" The father, his own grief palpable, then spoke. "But Jordan chose to go to." His voice trailing off, unable to complete the painful accusation, the implications hanging heavy in the air. Ultimately, both Jordan and Barron were unequivocally denied bail, a decision that brought a measure of grim relief to Alexis's family. The judge, in delivering the ruling, stated definitively that Jordan posed a significant, her words left unfinished, her reasoning implying a clear danger to the community, or a flight risk, effectively locking away the alleged perpetrators of this heinous crime and bringing a temporary close to this chapter of the agonizing search for justice for Alexis. Flight risk. This assertion stemmed from a crucial revelation. Just hours after Alexis tragically died, Jordan, with alarming speed and calculated forethought, officially withdrew from Clark Atlanta University. Her hasty departure from academia was coupled with concrete plans to relocate, to move back home to Michigan with her parents, a clear attempt to flee the jurisdiction and distance herself from the unfolding tragedy. Compounding this, it was also revealed that Jordan had actively tried to contact witnesses in the case, potentially tampering with the investigative process. Even more egregiously, she had attempted to conceal vital evidence when she reached out to Alexis's grieving family members, brazenly informing them that there was no DNA found on the rape kit. This was a malicious falsehood, as the forensic evidence had, in fact, definitively linked the DNA found on the rape kit directly back to Baron Brantley. Jordan's defense lawyer, when confronted with these damning accusations, chose not to directly address the allegations of witness tampering and evidence concealment. Instead, the lawyer maintained that Jordan had been supportive of Alexis following the initial allegation of rape against Baron. However, this claim of support stood as a massive contradiction, particularly given the known fact that Jordan had callously allowed Baron, the alleged rapist, back into their shared apartment, effectively harboring him under the same roof as his victim. With the legal process now fully engaged, Baron and Jordan, their alleged partnership irrevocably broken by the weight of their crimes, began to turn on each other. Both were now vehemently pointing fingers, attempting to distance themselves from the horrific events that had transpired, each seeking to shift blame. Consequently, their respective attorneys formally requested that their cases be severed, allowing them to have separate murder trials, a strategic move aimed at weakening the prosecution's case. These legal maneuvers, along with inevitable pushbacks and delays due to the unprecedented global lockdown, significantly prolonged the arduous journey towards justice. Then, in a devastating blow for both Alexis's already suffering family and the prosecution team, another major setback occurred. In the year 2023, the narrative abruptly halts, leaving the reader suspended in a moment of profound uncertainty. wondering what further injustice or complication could possibly befall this family already so deeply mired in sorrow, and what new obstacle would rise to impede the long-awaited quest for accountability. New developments emerged in the murder case of Clark Atlanta University student Alexis Crawford, whose life had been tragically cut short more than 3 years prior. During a pivotal hearing on a recent Friday, a bombshell ruling sent shockwaves through the courtroom and beyond. The accused killer's confession, a cornerstone of the prosecution's case, could not be used as evidence in court. It was meticulously determined that Baron Brantley's confession, a detailed account of his involvement, was inadmissible. The judge's ruling meticulously outlined that because he was likely under the influence of drugs at the time he gave his statement, it had placed detectives in an exceedingly difficult and ethically precarious position. This meant it was incredibly challenging for them to conclusively prove they had not exploited his impaired state to their advantage in eliciting incriminating statements. Despite this, investigators maintained steadfastly that his confession was unequivocally given of his own free will, a voluntary admission that, strikingly, also corroborated Jordan's version of the grim events. Further setbacks and exasperating pushbacks in the legal proceedings soon followed when the court, after much deliberation, announced it was seriously considering allowing Barron to apply for bail. This potential decision, given the heinous nature of the charges, sent a ripple of disbelief and outrage through everyone involved in the case, particularly Alexis's grieving family. The family's pain, expressed in a public statement, was profound and unyielding. The incessant pain we feel from the cold-blooded murder of Alexis at the hands of Baron Brantley and Jordan Jones, whom we often welcomed into our home, is constant and nearly. The statement trailed off, unable to fully encapsulate the depth of their suffering, hinting at a profound and enduring anguish. The very thought of Baron, an alleged murderer, potentially walking free on bail, was an unbearable affront to their memory of Alexis and their desperate quest for justice, a cruel twist that threatened to unravel what little peace they had found. Unbearable. Tanya Jefferson, Alexis's heartbroken mother, penned in a powerful and emotionally charged letter submitted to the court. I was deeply disturbed by the very real possibility of Baron being released on bond, to potentially walk free in the very city where he allegedly committed such an unspeakable act. Reverend Hutchins, the family's steadfast spiritual guide, echoed these sentiments with profound conviction, his voice resonating with a mixture of sorrow and righteous indignation. When you truly think about it, he began. 2 21-year-olds took this vibrant young lady's life for no reason at all. Just senselessly. He continued, his gaze fixed on the grim reality. It really is not just unexplainable, it's unspeakable. And truly it's evil personified. His words painted a stark, unflinching picture of the moral void left by the crime. As of March 2023, despite the passage of over 3 years since Alexis's tragic death, there had still been no firm trial dates set for either Jada Williams or Baron Brantley. Given the significant legal setbacks, the inadmissibility of Baron's confession and the controversial consideration of bail, it remained profoundly unclear just how long this excruciating process would ultimately take. The protracted, agonizing wait, while the labyrinthine gears of the court system slowly ground away, was a situation over which no one, least of all the victim's family, had any control. It was, indeed, such a profoundly helpless and frustrating position for Alexis's family and friends to be in, their quest for justice continually deferred. At just 21 years old, Aaliyah Jefferson was truly only just beginning to unfurl the tapestry of her life, brimming with unfulfilled dreams and boundless potential. In her last few days, she experienced betrayal in myriad, devastating ways, from the violation of her body to the ultimate betrayal by those she trusted most. To have her life extinguished in such a cruel, calculated, and utterly remorseless manner only compounded the immense sadness of an already heartbreaking case, adding layers of profound grief and injustice. Her sister, Ariana Jefferson, her voice choked with emotion yet resolute, captured the enduring spirit of her beloved sibling, stating simply yet powerfully that Alexis will always be. The sentence, unfinished, lingered in the air, a testament to an eternal love and an unbearable loss, leaving the world to remember the vibrant young woman who was taken too soon, and to ponder the slow, grinding path toward a justice that seemed perpetually just out of reach. Her role model, her unwavering strength, and the very embodiment of her aspirations. These words, spoken with a raw sincerity, painted a vivid portrait of Alexis's enduring legacy within her family. Her father, his voice heavy with the wisdom born of unbearable loss, offered a poignant, universal plea to all parents. Hold on to your kids. Love them. Talk to them. Appreciate them and listen to them. Don't stop listening to your kid. His words were a desperate echo of what he wished he could have done, a fervent hope that no other family would suffer such a profound and preventable tragedy. Tanya Jefferson, Alexis's mother, her resilience a stark contrast to her profound grief, then added a powerful statement, articulating the sole path to a semblance of peace for her shattered family. While there is nothing that will ever bring my daughter back, securing jail without bail for her murderers would, at the very least, give me and my family some peace and security while we endure this agonizing wait for justice to finally be served. Her words underscored the essential need for accountability, for the alleged perpetrators to remain incarcerated, offering a fragile sense of closure amidst the ongoing judicial delays. For those of you who appreciate the convenience of auditory immersion and prefer to listen on the go, we are pleased to announce that our episodes are now readily available in podcast form. You can seamlessly find these compelling narratives either by following the direct link provided in our description box or by simply searching for Truly Criminal Podcasts on your preferred podcasting platforms. This expanded access allows you to delve into these intricate true crime stories at your leisure, anywhere and anytime, continuing to shine a light on the often dark corners of human experience, and keeping the memory of victims like Aaliyah Jefferson alive in our collective consciousness.